Thank you for downloading episode 16 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is July the 8th, and I'm here with Built Different Jared.
Hey, how you doing? And not to mention, we also conquered, well, I conquered the LFG Master Vault of Glass from start to finish.
I was actually going to save that for a topic, but okay.
We'll
And
talk about it
also here
later.
with Chad Sarah.
I was not invited. I'm sad.
Sorry, Chad, you should have taken off work today with the rest of us. And we're here to talk about Destiny this week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Join the Discord and listen to us on Spotify and or iTunes. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe, and then resubscribe. That way we can mess with the algorithm and we can all get famous. Jared, before I forget, we have a contest winner. We'll announce it at the end of the show. So, Jared, let's get weird.
So on Tuesday was a big patch that came out. Lots of stuff, lots of bug fixes. There was probably about 100 items. But most importantly, they did some optimization for AMD GPUs. So hopefully some people are getting some better frame rates and stuff. Also, Bungie Day happened on the 7th, which is 7/7, which is why it's Bungie Day. Everybody loves the number 7. And that's kind of how it originated. The community, how it was like really into number 7, and they got a fixation with it. So whenever on 7/7 Day, they deemed it Bungie Day, and that happened over many years ago, back in the Halo days. So what come out of that? They announced on August 24th, Survive the Truth Destiny 2 showcase. How hyped are you guys for this?
I am up there, dog. They showed a new Witch Queen emblem, and it's got some implications on it. It's going to be real exciting. I mean, I know that's the first day of the next season, right? Is the 24th from what I remember? Because
That
the
is
10th
correct.
is the epilogue, and then 2 weeks after that is when the new season starts. So I'm gonna have to put for my day off of work then. That way I don't get left behind again. So it'll be good to have the game going and have the stream going at the same time, watching them talk about whatever they're going to talk about. It's
Now, Chad, I would hold off
oof.
on that, taking that day off of work.
Yeah,
Because
with how they're going to elongate the seasons. Yeah,
how those servers go, and they say it's live, and then don't go live for another 4 or 5 hours
I
later.
I could take 2 days off, dog.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I could take 2 days.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to tell my
whenever I saw
boss.
that, whenever I saw that, I kind of had two thoughts. The first was, can't wait. The second one was, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And I thought about The Office whenever they're all running around. I think that was actually the gift that I sent in our group chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I am most excited. If you recall, they did this, was it Season of Arrivals leading into Beyond Light? The first day of, we're from like 10 to 1 Eastern time. They did that. They did like that showcase, and I think they had old Dado Wado there and asked some questions, and then they kind of unveiled the season that was starting that day, and then talked for about an hour, if I recall, about the expansion coming out. So I imagine it's probably going to be very similar. Hopefully, I'm the one that's invited to go to Bungie headquarters to ask the questions, because I'm sure I'm the best spokesman for the entire community. So, what are the main things that you guys are wanting to see, or what are your expectations for this event?
Oof. I mean, I expectations are high for me, but I like to try to keep them low because I want to be pleasantly surprised. And it's hard to do that when you got the hype train going full force. I think because it's they have to tease a little bit more than normal because of the amount of time that they're going to have to extend the next season. So since they have that extra couple months that they have to fill up, they gotta get us just salivating in order to make it so that we can just sit there for that long. So I'm hoping to see because I think we've only seen one armor set. I'm hoping to see the full armor sets that they kind of teased a little bit for each class. Maybe a couple of guns. Um, I don't think they're going to reveal anything major, like if they're going to make new class the subclasses, like the new darkness subclasses. I think they might tease like a look of what it is, um, but nothing that we can decipher stuff from. Like they'll see like a hand glowing a new color, and we'll be like, "Oh my god, what's that?" And then that's it. Um, but I'm trying to keep things low. I think armor, new weapons, new stasis weapons, maybe show off a new crucible map in the jungle would be cool.
Oh,
Uh,
if only we got new Crucible
I
maps,
know. They've had a
and
whole year to
hopefully,
make one map. I just want
yeah,
one map for
hopefully
that
some of
and
these
Gambit one.
maps have some longer sight lines instead of not just this 25 meters and in crap that we got going on
Yeah,
now. Um, for me, I'm not going to be too excited for this because I want to keep my expectations low. That way, this is what I've been doing now with big expansions and like big movies that come out and shows. Like I just want to keep my expectations low, so that way, if it's anything better, then I'm going to be surprised. But Bungie better bring it because if you want people to spend money on a game that's not coming out till probably February, you better have some hype and some stuff that really makes people want to buy it.
So I'm taking the opposite approach. I am super pumped. If there's one thing Bungie can do, is make a trailer to sell a season or to sell an expansion. You know, it's going to be super curated. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be paced well. They're going to show these amazing moments. I absolutely think that they will show a fair amount of the new subclass because that will be a selling point. I gonna call it now. Bungie's gonna add. They're gonna say that in the time that since they had to push it back, they're gonna use that time to focus on the Crucible and not. They won't have an official season of the Crucible, but I think they'll use the time leading up to the new expansion because you know we're looking at what like a 6 or 7 month season most likely. I think the end of that season is going to be Crucible focused. And I wouldn't be surprised if they even throw us a Crucible map or two, or I think they'll give the Crucible a little bit of love at the end of next season, and they're going to talk about all that at the show.
Sounds great.
So we imagine what it probably as soon as this is over, you'll be able to pre-order the game. You'll get a sweet emblem, and it'll probably be $40 for the expansion, $30 for the probably 70 for like the deluxe edition that gives you
Mhm.
like the full year of Destiny. Is that kind of what we're expecting?
Yeah, that's usually about where it's at.
Are you guys going to pre-order it?
Yes.
Yep.
the second it's up, obviously. What
Yep.
else
Yep.
am I gonna do?
Buy some silver too while you're in there. You got
I
to
mean,
make sure
come on,
Bungie's
man.
independent studio now. They need our support.
So continuing on with Bungie Day, they started up their Foundation for Giving campaign for that's going from the 7th to the 20th of July. So basically, there's 4 different dollar amounts you spend, you get something, and you get something that is from the amount before. So $10 gets you a Bungie Foundation emblem, which is like the simple heart emblem. They've had it around for a while now. $25 gets you the new Bungie Foundation emblem. It's called a Circadian Guard. $50 gets you an exotic ghost shell, buoyant shell. Looks like like one of the helium balloons that you get whenever you use a kid. And then 75 gets you this awesome emote called Tiny Tank. You literally drive around a tank and that shoots a heart up into the sky. This might be one of the coolest emotes ever, but it's coming at a good price for a good cause, so maybe some people's gonna buy it.
I mean,
And
I'm definitely very tempted because I like little tiny tanks.
yeah,
Um, but oof, I also got my eyes on that jacket, and I got my eyes on some lore books that I still that they got that pre-order for the next one. Oh, um, they got too much stuff for me to buy right now, man. And Ryan's making me spend it all on silver.
Yeah, we
Listen,
got them.
I got a beach trip coming up in 2 weeks. If I spend $75 on a Destiny emote, my wife might hang me on a cross and set it on fire out in the front yard. so, so I can't be spending $75 on an emote. But however, I will say, if it was that Air Jordan emote that we talked about, I'd find a way to find $75 for that one.
Yeah. So also in celebration of Bungie Day, everybody gets the spicy ramen emblem. Go to bungie.net, open up your account, log in, and you enter code YRC C3DYNC, and you get a free spicy ramen emblem. You know, after they took everybody's spicy ramen coupons away, at least we still can get it in the emblem.
Yeah, I think they gave us a wallpaper. I want to say last year sometime, and now they're making it an actual emblem in game, which is nice. Um, it's for anybody that remembers Cade and has those coupons from back in the day. It's just a nice little bit of love for my boy.
R.I.P. in peace.
I will go ahead and dive into the TWAB. Pretty light TWAB because it's basically summarizing same stuff that happened in the Bungie Day article. So, but they do have some pretty cool art that people have done, and they showcase it in there. They have a new Baby Fallen T-shirt at the Bungie store. Looks pretty cool, and they also have two really cool wallpapers. The Decepticon image is now my background. I think it's pretty cool. Then also, if you notice when you logged in this week, your triumphs were reset from seasons 13 and 14. So some scores may have gone down, but it's actually the correct score now. If you notice, if you're somebody that tracks that, so now it's actually corrected. And probably the biggest thing is that Vanguard tokens are going away in season 15. So if you have them, you spend them now because Zavala is getting upgraded to where Shax and the Drifter is, to where you have your linear progression where you do enhancement cores, then prisms, and then a exotic shard, and then it starts back over again.
How many thousands of those do you have to go click a button on at the end of this season?
I think I got like 2,000.
I was a big dumb and didn't read the notes. So last season when they were trying to, or the season they were trying to get people to use them up, I did the Vanguard ones also, and I think I had like 5,000. I mean, it didn't even matter. I didn't. There's nothing that I really wanted at the
Yeah.
time. Now it's like there's some guns that I'd like to get a better roll on, but I'm just gonna be sitting there mostly just gathering legendary shards and stuff.
Remember that service revolver he had that
Oh
there
yeah,
for a little bit. That gun was pretty solid
yeah,
there.
super good.
All right.
I think I have like 2 or 3,000. I don't have too many
Yeah.
of them. I'm not one. I can't sit and grind playlist strikes. That's not fun to me whatsoever.
Yeah, they must be hitting XP with like tiered levels depending on what you're doing, like playlists, and then the nightfall's going up in difficulty. I'd hope so. Like if
Yeah.
you're doing GMs at the end of the season, you're getting like a rank or like a half a rank, like
Yeah.
for progression. Because then it's like, okay, yeah, I can. If I'm doing GM grinds, I'm gonna get extra enhancement cores. I'm gonna get an extra ascendant shard at the end if I do a couple of prestiges or whatever they're called. And just keep doing that, and that I'm excited to see what that's going to look like because it's going to be another free shard for people that don't play GMs.
Yeah.
So it's just another opportunity for a free thing, and that's good.
We can always hope that they get an upgraded to their engram system to where you might be able to focus something to get some of the witchful weapons that they have. We can always hope for that to happen in the future. So another big thing that happened this week is Solstice of Heroes. Have you boys been grinding?
Bruh, we were on right at the beginning. I had my button up, bow tie on because it's a party. Shaq said he'd come
Sure.
in with a suit. Um, and I do definitely have to say, depending or based off of the last Solstice of Heroes, the grind is much less. I did a whole day worth, and then like maybe another 5 hours, so a total of probably 12 hours, and all three characters are done except for the end game content. So like the raid I still need to do, and then my whole all of them are done. So it's definitely much easier. It's not nearly as grindy as it was. So it's going to be much more user friendly for the people that don't have 8 hours in the day to play every day. So it's really nice.
Yeah. And chat, me and you was in Discord chat doing most of it and talking to each other as we gone through. And you decided to do a lot of the abilities and like grenade kills, getting like arc melee kills and stuff like that in the game. And I decided to go to a throwaway checkpoint and do all of it there. So there's
Mm-hmm.
probably two ways to go about it. You can, while you're doing those activities, focus on the weapon kills that you need or the void grenade kills, or just go to a throwaway and do it. I like going to a throwaway and just getting it all done. That way I can play the way I want to in the other activities and not have to be concerned about using a certain weapon or, oh, there's a group of red bars that I can actually hit with a grenade. I should go throw my grenade there. Um, Fox, what was your opinion of it so far?
Full disclosure, I just finished my blue set on my Warlock today. I think I would say at most 90 minutes to 2 hours to do the blue set. And the blue set is mostly it's like do 3 lost sectors, do 2 public events, do get 40 kills in Crucible, which this is a good week to do it for because momentum control is up, so you can kind of go through and crank those out pretty easily. I think I play kind of a mix between you guys. I do like all the playlist activities and things that are required and try to get my kills that way. And then Jared was kind enough to pass me the throwaway checkpoint. So I use that to mop up everything afterwards. Some of those, like on the blue set, you would have to get like 200 of the orbs in like free roam activities. So just main thing is to try to be working on as many as you can at the same time. It's not too bad. It's definitely better than previous years, like they've already mentioned. And in order to buy the glows, which is 1,500 silver or 6,000 bright dust, I believe is how that is. And you have to have the purple set before you have to complete the blue set before you can buy the glows from the Eververse.
Okay. So did you buy it right away after you purchased got the blue set done?
Absolutely. Yeah. I went in and had this. I had 3,400 silver in the chamber ready to roll. So I put that on and I used that neon synth shader with
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It looks pretty sweet with the glows, which are based upon the subclass, and you get the white glow for completing all the in-game stuff
Yeah.
Mhm.
that is on the armor set. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I think your new nickname should be like Silver Fox.
Silver Fox.
It just makes so much sense that that's what you need to be.
Listen, I just had my wife cut my hair today to cut all the silver out of my hair, so I got to keep it short, or it starts. I'm getting deep in the corners, and it's starting to get silver. So that would be accurate in more ways than one.
All right. So also with Solstice of Heroes, we got a shotgun, which is a precision frame shotgun that is a pellet and not a slug. And it's the
Yes.
first one we've gotten since Prophet of Doom back in Garden of Salvation.
Oh man, it's been too long.
So
Ugh.
everybody got a Genesis Vorpal roll, which that's probably a decent roll to use in PVE. And but the changes they did the shotgun, everybody's really focusing on shotguns right now, and this might have a place now in the meta. A lot of shotguns have been reined in to, if you don't get the first shot kill, which is usually probably around a 4 or 5 meter range now, if you're not directly on, you need that second shot. So this fires faster than aggressives and has some pretty good perks going along with that. So the PvP wall, we're gonna go with full choke, assault mag, quick draw, and snapshot. So why assault mag not accurized? To me, shotgun's more likely in shotgun duels, you're gonna need that second shot. And you're getting that second shot faster than the aggressive frames, and it moves you a little closer into the to the field of light uh, lightweight frame shotguns. Then PVE roll, you're looking at rifle barrel, assault mag, and I'm saying field prep, and trench barrel because I want as many rounds fired off at a time. Field prep, extra ammo. It's easy to crouch to reload, to max out that reload. Trench barrels usually pretty good on shotguns, and you never know when Bungie switches up the meta. You know, there's got to become a time when slug shotguns get a nerf. There's how many? It's been 2+ seasons now when these things have been the meta for DPS. So
At least
Yeah, easily.
since
It'd
Keystone
definitely be
Crypt.
online. Yeah.
it's about time for them to give them a nerf. So have a couple extra shotguns of this in the vault if you have the vault space. God knows we need more vault space, but if you have a slot or two, throw one of these in there just in case.
So you guys have played much more of the event than I have. I think I've opened up. So the way it works, you have like this EAZ, the European Aerial Zone. You go into the EAZ, you kill mini bosses, and then after I think you're on what, like a 3-minute timer, 2.5-minute timer, something like that.
I think it's
Uh,
two.
yeah. So you go in, kill these mini bosses, and then a big boss comes. You kill the big boss, and for every mini boss you kill, it spawns a chest around the map in this kind of free for all 1 minute 90-second ish time frame you have, and then you as your fire team have to go open these chests around this area. Each of those chests has a chance to drop like a solstice package, and uh, if it doesn't drop a solstice package, you get solstice keys. You also get solstice keys from doing raids and activity playlists. And each solstice package requires 15 solstice keys to open. So far, I've opened up probably 14 or 15 of these solstice packages, and have not got a single shotgun to drop out of one. The only shotgun that I've got was the one that you're given after you complete the helmet. So how am I just unlucky, or is the drop rate like legit 5% or
You probably
less?
haven't unlocked it.
No,
There's a
no, I
point
have.
on no on the on when you go to Ava, she has those little
Mhm.
perk things, and yeah, no, the
Yes.
drop rate's abysmally low. It's almost as bad as Glacier Chasm was for me.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I opened up 35 packages and I got 3.
And
Okay.
again, we're
So,
talking about third day,
Yeah.
so I know that most people aren't going to grind the whole entire event. Most people cool off after halfway through. Um, but if people do, they're going to be like he's opened up 35 in 3 days. If someone plays like that the entire time, 35 every 3 days, that's going to be a lot of chances. Um, Now I haven't. I think I've only opened like 15, like Ryan, because I was kind of just saving them up while I was doing everything else, and I haven't gotten one out of another uh, box yet myself. So we'll see. I'll keep track of it and see what it looks like.
that's terrible. They need. I mean, y- don't you guys feel that's a little low?
Yeah. For a limited
Yeah,
time event, I feel like that needs to be like pretty regular. Like you should be
Needs
able
to
to
be
get
like
that to drop in the
probably needs to
EAZ.
be like 20%, 1 out of 5.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, some people get unlucky, my guy. That 20% may never happen for some
But
people.
like, why didn't like after you open up 49 chests in the EAZ for Ever Levante, why didn't you automatically get another random wall?
Yeah, like as the powerful drop that comes
Yeah.
from that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she could even have like a turn in where like you give up 5 boxes and she just gives you a shotgun. I
Absolutely.
mean, like that's not in like you want to open the things. It was giving you presents, you want to open them, but trading them in or one of her mods, like once you unlock all the magnificent sets and there's literally nothing for you to do in the event anymore. If it goes every every fifth is going to just drop an extra compass rose aside from everything else. So like you open one box, two box, three box, four box, five box. You get whatever's in the box, and then you also get a compass rose. That'd be cool.
You know,
I'd like that
I
because it guaranteed. It's like I know I need to grind out 5, and that's it. It'd be
I would
easier.
even be okay. I would even be okay if every 50 chests that you open in the EAZ, you're guaranteed one, because then
Yeah,
it
which is
rewards you for being efficient whenever you go in there. It keeps people in the playlist because you can get 50 in under 5 runs
yeah,
if you're
easy.
going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it would keep everybody objective based in the EAZ as opposed to working on bounties. So you're not the only one running from mini boss to mini boss.
Hey,
So
It's
all
really
this
tough whenever
selfish people.
you're in there. And if you go in there with a stack of 3 and you kind of just section it off and have people wait on top of buildings to go to the next one, you could probably get pretty close to 20, I would say, if you went in there and it was super
Mhm.
efficient. Okay, so
20 would be some super good spawns, I think.
I
But
think it would
yeah,
be, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think
oh,
so.
I'm
I mean,
sure.
Jared
I'm
and I
sure
are going to
somebody on
be
Twitch.
the next Glad and Chevy, so we'll do it. We'll tune in that shit if we have to.
Are we going to be called Charid?
Jared, yeah. Jad. I don't like that one. So
I,
we got to talk about this hard mode, guys. Tell me what I'm in for eventually.
oh man. So to me, I had this week off for work. It's too easy for me. Let's just take a limited amount of PTO and be off for the week. And got up this morning and I was like, told myself, I'm getting a good cup of coffee and I'm just going to just go into LFG and try this hard mode for Vault of Glass. And going with the mindset, I was like, this is going to take a few hours. People are going to quit. It's going to get frustrating. And I went in with that attitude and it really helped. Not to mention, Fox came along halfway through to help save the day. But difficulty level, uh, this is up there with Grandmasters, and not just any of the Grandmasters. I say this is probably one of the top 5 hardest things to complete in the game. And the champions, how much they spawn, the negative modifiers, the power delta for some of the players, it just depends on your light level and stuff. It is very, very difficult.
Yeah. So I was also, I have to work this weekend, so I was off today as well. And I had one kid at daycare and the other was at grandma's, and my wife was working. So this is like the perfect storm of events to where I have the house to myself, and the house is clean, and it was raining outside, so I couldn't cut the grass, and so everything kind of everything just worked out really well. So I hop in our group chat, and I was like, "Is anybody off work today or online and want to play?" Jared said that he was doing master Vault of Glass, and at first I was really upset with Jared. Not gonna lie, that he didn't wait on the rest of us because we had planned to do it Saturday, Friday. Uh, and so we had planned to do it Friday with our day one squad, and then Jared was doing it without us. And I said, well, you know what, Jared, just invite me, kick somebody else out and invite me. And then somebody had dropped out. So I came in at the Templar encounter,
Yep.
and it's harder than day one. It's absolutely more difficult than day one. And a lot of it is champion based. After we killed the Templar, the easiest thing for us to do was to go up on the high ledge. So if you think of the Templar room as it makes a plus sign, and at we'll say at 6 o'clock is the well where you cleanse yourself. So if the ledge, the bottom left ledge that faces the middle of the clock, which would be around like 8 o'clock, 7:30, up high there. That's where we decide. That's where we started doing damage from. Whenever we actually beat it, we were trying to do it from the opposite corner of that before, but we were taking too much splash damage. So this is to the point to where we beat it. We had to have 2 chess pieces one chest piece that had double shotgun reserves on it, and then you would put it on, equip it, and then grab the flag, and then switch over to a chest piece that had double void resist on it, because where the boss shoots void damage. So just to give you the extra shots that you needed. And then at the other spot, the splash damage was too much. At this one, where you're up above the Templar, I think the front ledge blocks some of the splash damage, and it also doesn't hit behind you because there's another little box up there that you kind of get behind. You're going to need at least 2 wells, and each person in the well needs to have Lunafactions on to give you the extra damage for your slugs. You're going to be running, I was running Heritage, first in, last out, Anarchy, and it took us all the way up. We had just got marked for negation whenever we finished the boss off. And I think we had 3 warlocks. One was running Chaos Reach, 2 were on Wells, and we had 3 Titans. The Titans were all running the Headbutt, the Thunder Crash.
Yeah.
And it took everything we had. It took everything that we had. And there wasn't any change in the Gorgon maze, but the challenge was the Gatekeeper challenge. That was much more difficult than day one, in my opinion. Day one we beat it on like our 3rd or 4th try. We were in there for like 2 or 3 hours just on that encounter. Atheon was way easier than trying to do that challenge in there.
And that's a counter that everybody wanted to get done. That's the one with the challenge, is how you get the Hezen's Vengeance, and you get credit for getting that into the game chest. And that encounter, that challenge, you have to kill the Minotaur that has the shield and the Wyvern at the same time. Now the Minotaur with the shield is practically the same thing. You can dive onto it with the relic and a couple of melees, you got it down. But the Wyvern, I was on Thunder Crash. That was the easiest way to get it done. And if you wasn't on Thunder Crash, there's some people with some Stasis Warlocks use Xenophage, and you get it down to about 1/4 of its health. And then whenever you got to communicate very well with both sides and say you're about to kill, and then pull that off. And then Final Stand is no walk in the park either. There's so many anti-barrier hobgoblins. Now you change the champions. There's all overload champions before you get to this point. So usually whenever you switch over to this Final Stand, you might have 10 seconds to get into your inventory and switch out to anti-barrier weapon and switch out the mod or the people inside the portals. Like me, I was inside, already had anti-barrier on just to prepare for that. And it was daunting.
Hope you have an SSD, or you're not on an Xbox or Xbox One or a PS4 because you're gonna have trouble. Yep. So I was holding the Venus plate, or the right plate, up on the entrance there, and at first I was trying to use that wasn't really helping any. Then I was trying to run blinding grenades, Anarchy, and submachine gun to for the overload champion, and it just that champion is so much. So then I tried to go to a sword, and it's hard because the other 4 people they're kind of doing their own thing, and you're kind of on an island holding that thing by yourself. And what I ended up doing that was the most effective, which was recommended by the guy that was holding the other plate, was I went hand cannon. I think I had a True Prophecy that had like explosive payload on it, so I was able to 2-tap to hit the overload. And I went stasis, so I was throwing a stasis turret on top of the little pillar that spawns in the center of your plate. That way it could shoot whenever the stuff came from behind me. And I was using the first in, last out and Anarchy. So I would set Anarchy traps for the 3 goblins that spawn in from behind you. And then it was a challenge every time to kill that overload by yourself. And the overload champions are busted like 80% of the time. It's no issue, but that other 20%, they don't stun correctly. And I was running at 1340, and it took 2 melees from the overload to kill me, or like 2 of his like gun that he uses, so it's hard. It's really hard. So basically you're stunning, popping Anarchy, and then it was taking about 4 first in, last out shotgun shots, and then a lot of times I was having to spam the finish button in order to kill it. And I think you have to kill 5 or 6 champions before you get to the final stand. And I already had an anti-barrier scout mod equipped, and I just switched my hand cannon to a scout rifle. That way I could help with that. And it's hard. It's hard because, it's one of those things where you have to run like a perfect game in order to do it, or we were having to do it. Granted, it was LFG. We had never played with each other before, and everybody had to be doing something. And if one person messed up, it was a wipe. So you had to play like 3.5 minutes of just perfect destiny in order to get that done.
Yeah, and in total, I did a little raid report off Discord, and 13 guardians over a span of 4.5 hours, and I was the only one that remained from the starting 6 that started at like 10 a.m. that day, and we finished at 2:30 in the afternoon. Went straight through lunch without eating and everything. And it was a very typical LG event. I'd say the toxicity of it was quite low, in my opinion, of that. But as in the slog of, oh, somebody had to leave, we got to wait and try to get somebody else, and a very typical LFG the way that went. Now we're going to talk about the loot. Do you think the loot is worth the grind of that?
So, um, so we should say from Templar. So Atheon was the easiest part of between the Templar and the Gatekeeper. Atheon was the
Yeah,
easiest portion. Atheon is if you're really clean, you can get a 3-phase. If you have a couple scuffs here and there, it's a pretty easy 4-phase. Survivability is big for that portion, and I feel like there's more supplicants, and the harpies have arc shields, and
yeah,
their orange bars. Uh, as far as the loot goes, like you mentioned, so Jared, quickly, the so column 3 and column 4 each have 2
mhm.
perks,
For a
and
time loss weapon, yes.
for the time loss, the one that you get out of the challenge mode,
Yeah,
and one you always get the curated roll. So
correct.
like the bottom perk 3 and bottom perk 4 were always overflow cluster bomb on
Yes,
the Hezen Vengeance. Your
yes,
other 2 were random rolls. So like I had one that had either overflow or auto loading holster, and then like lasting impression or cluster bomb. So the loot is really good, and based upon Light GG, what the curated roles are probably the roles that you're going to want anyway. So if you complete the challenge once, you're going to have a super good roll plus whatever your random roll is, and it's pretty nice. But I honestly, once we have all of those done, I fully expect it to be we'll kill Atheon on Master and then open up the chest and spend our 25 spoils to get time lost random rolls as opposed to doing the challenge every week. What do you think, Jared?
yeah. After you get through the 5 weeks, yeah. So I should say at the end of the counter, you also have a chance at enhancement prisms and ascendant shards. So that is very nice. More of those in-game materials. But the thing is like if you're doing master vault of glass, you probably already pretty well on in-game materials. You're doing GMs. If you're not in the GMs, you're probably doing trials, and both of those things can drop those. So to me, I think they should have changed that a little bit. I think I would rather had a like more spoils drop, or maybe the legendary version of the weapon that would drop would have 2 perks in the last column. That it's not
Yeah,
totally time lost, but just rewards you for being in there and giving the time and completing an encounter that is still very difficult. Even if you don't do the challenge, it's still a very difficult encounter. But in all, it's definitely worth going through one time completely. and then the other 2 runs just do normal mode for a week.
I have to say, I got a so the armor that drops is going to be like this week, for instance, was was it intellect
It's
focused,
recovery this week.
or I'm sorry, it was high recovery armor. So I got a chest piece that was, I think it was like a 63 overall, but it had like 28 recovery and 26 discipline, and that's before masterworking or anything. So it was heavily spiked, and as you guys know, that stasis turret build that we talk about every single week, that's an incredible thing because your rift is based off of your recovery, and the discipline is obviously that you're going to get those grenades even faster. So I think that the armor helps because if you don't get a weapon, like I actually am going to want armor as opposed to weapons because at this point, if I can get a near god roll or the god roll of every weapon of the Timelost version in the next 5 or 6 weeks, I don't want any of the regular weapons to drop because it's not going to be any better.
Now, this is something I didn't test, but like at the in-game chest after you beat the boss, if you buy armor, I don't know if that's a high stat roll or not. That's perky based on the wiki either. That's something we probably need to look into and play it out. I think most have been holding all spoils for our god roll Fatebringer, but great news. The created role has has explosive payload and Firefly, and hurrah, the grind is shrunk tremendously. Great job, Bungie, on decreasing some of the RNG to get a great roll on these time lost weapons. To one of the hardest things to do in this game, and you definitely get good rewards out of it. So we're going to talk about the Hezen's Vengeance. So
hold on, I got a little more to add.
Okay.
So there's 6 weapons in the raid.
Yeah.
And there's 5 challenges, correct?
Yep.
So after you complete all 5 challenges, you automatically unlock the shotgun, which is the sixth weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that the Fatebringer is going to be tied to the Templar challenge because it's going to be the last. It would be the last one in rotation, and that's how it was in Destiny 1. That's where the weapon dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So, the only other thing I would have added, I think that, and it could be this way because we don't get to see the numbers. I think that if you run the master mode, you should have a pretty high drop rate chance at Vex Mythoclast.
It should be double whatever your given drop rate is.
I would say, yeah, because it increases every time you run it, and then it should double. I don't know if it does, but I think that would be a pretty nice touch.
Nobody got it of our group when they finished, but doesn't mean it doesn't have an increase, which Bungie never said it has an increase. It probably doesn't. So we're going to dive into this Hezen's Vengeance quickly. So as created, well, as he said, Overflow, Cluster Bomb, but the other first 2 perks is Volatile Launch and Black Powder. So that is a great PvE role, and not to mention that's pretty decent in PvP. Also, the third column is not exactly what you want in the PvP. So for me, the PvP role is exactly the same as created, except for the third column. I'll take Impulse Amplifier because I want my rocket to get there as soon as possible to explode. You can make an argument for quick draw just to be able to hurry up and pull it out, but usually you go up to the heavy box and you're waiting there for a second for it to spawn, so you have plenty of time to pull out your rocket. So PvE, I think, again, quick launch, then impact casing because it does a little bit more damage per hit, and then third column, anything but quick draw surplus, and then any of the 3 in the last column, Vorpal, Lasting, or Cluster Bomb, which if it's a time loss version, you ought to get Cluster Bomb as an option.
Yeah, I like this rocket. I had the regular version, the quote unquote curated role I already had on the regular version, and it was nice to be able to delete I had like 8 of those things hanging around, so it was
Yeah.
nice to be able to clear a little bit of wall space out. I rockets are they're I guess they have a place like if you're running like Izanagi's, that's really about the only
Yeah.
time to run them right now, right?
Yep. Or
So
if they ever
I don't
make
know.
exotic primaries good again
Yeah,
in game.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the other thing is if you it's only 25 spoils to grab another one.
Yes.
So that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think I spent 75 spoils just buying some extra ones today to
I
kind of
did too. And it
see what
kept
would
giving
drop.
me quick draw wellspring, quick draw wellspring. It's like, why? I don't want that. It gave me 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Oh,
The odds. May the odds ever be in your favor.
yeah. So we also had a Grandmaster this week. Lots of stuff going on this week in Destiny World. Um, Fallen Saber back again. And, you know, we're going to sound like a broken record, but we went 2 Ursas and the freeze turret Warlock. It's wonderful. Chad, take us through the Ursa trading again because it's the most important thing in Grandmasters.
I mean, there's nothing that they can do to make it bad without completely destroying the subclass and the exotic. Um, so you can play it either way. You can do Warmind cells. You can do Charge with Light, Protective Light, and some other stuff to keep yourself alive. Obviously, since you are the Titan, you want to stay alive as long as possible. So you can grab an Ursa to pick people up. You can Ursa just to save the guys and stuff like that. Because the way we're running it, we're not using a well, so Ryan isn't able to panic well. He can throw his turret, but it doesn't immediately freeze people, so it's not as safe as an Ursa. Um, so we obviously, because of Season of the Chosen and that 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 horrifying strike Grandmaster that was, um, we got very good at timing our Ursas. And on that last 25%, you want to start counting down from 5 because it's about 5 seconds before you run out. And that gives the other Titan time to pop an Ursa and get in front of you with the banner so that you're not dying as your super's going away. Um, so obviously in that first area, take care of drop pods. Ursa's isn't really needed as long as you're taking out the all of the, what is it, the turrets on the ships, the skiffs, yeah, because
Yeah.
you got Overload Captain, you got a couple of servitors, but the servitors keep their distance, so Ursas aren't really necessary there. It's really the room before the boss room, and then the boss room where Ursas are absolutely, you have to chain them, and that little Freezy Boy turret is MVP for sure, keeping all of the little all number one. He is number one. Keeping all of the shanks off you from the back. I like how it like tends to focus on things that are behind you, and that might just be Ryan putting them near more of their spawns versus the boss spawn, because then it focuses on the ads versus the boss, and it's great. I think it's saved me once or twice where I turn around and there's just a frozen shank there, and I'm like, yes, I would have died
Yep.
not known it.
So again, I think all 3 of us are on Anarchy. We're going to use and abuse until it's nerfed into the ground. And again, it's a pretty typical Grandmaster at this point. We've had this a couple of times now, so we know we got through it with very few deaths and completed it first try. But the daggone plug 1 dropping again. It's supposed to be the Uzami RR4, and Bushney reset the rotation, and now it's going to be another 2 weeks till we get that sniper rifle. So, Chad, did you get your god roll yet?
No. Why are you even asking me that? You know the answer to that. No. The answer is no. Jared gets all my god rolls, and I just get to sit there with nothing. I still have. I got 2, and I still haven't seen Reservoir Burst or Kickstart or nothing. None of the perks I've ever wanted are on the 2 guns, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
We'll try to
I'm
get
not
in there
mad
again
about
this
it. I'm just
weekend.
disappointed.
So we need to make like Jared's simple rules that we always mention at the top of this, like run your resilience at 7, run resist mods on your chess piece. So we Jared, you can work on that before next week. But I
Okay.
do want to say, as much as Jared has yelled and moaned and complained at me for running or resilience or forgetting to up my resilience, I was running 7 resilience and solar resist and was standing in a rift and still got one shot by the boss. So Jared, you're gonna have to explain that one to me.
So the Resilient 7 was for snipers, not to be able to take you out. So bosses and ultras, they do extra damage per shot. So just because you have the correct things on to live through a red bar shooting you with a sniper, that is not the case for a boss.
Yeah, it'll save you from an orange bar because there's a couple of orange bar snipers,
Mm-hmm.
and I hit the 7 resilience, and I'll get hit and be just a hair's breadth away from dying, and I have to run away.
Yep.
And I don't have any resists on. So with resist, I'm going to take less. But even without that, I'm literally one breath away from dying.
Yeah.
So if a boss does extra damage on top of that, it's going to override those. If you want to survive a boss shot, you're going to have to run 100 and the resists, and maybe then you might be able to. I'm not even sure.
And there was also a mod, a negative mod in this Grandmaster where solar incoming solar damage did extra damage.
Yeah, and I got
So
hit
it's,
by an arc
Uh,
shot and was left at nothing. So yeah, that makes sense.
perfect storm of events then.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I do want to say that we decided to up our game as content creators and YouTubers, and I we decided that we were going to record our first run of the GM Nightfall this week, and kind of give some tips and tricks, and go slow, and kind of show our builds off, and show what kind of stats we're running, what weapons we're running, talk through everything as we're doing it. And I was I decided to record it through the NVIDIA GeForce recording thing. I was like, Chad, just in case this doesn't work, I'm going to need you to record it through OBS or something. So Chad did that, and I finish it, and uh, we finish it, and we're all excited. We're like, hey, that's not bad. I think it turned out pretty well. So Chad opens his up, and he's like, well, mine's no good. I have fan noise in the background, and I am my file size. It was a 32-minute video, I want to say, and it was 10 gigs. And I had to work the next day, so I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and start uploading this thing to YouTube. And it took an hour and 6 minutes to upload to YouTube and get in there. And I lay down in bed, and I get the notification that it finished processing. And I start watching it, and I realize that I don't have game sound or the sound from Discord of these other two guys talking. It's just me talking. So sometimes I'm answering nothing at all whenever you're watching the video. Uh, but it's up, and at some point we'll probably re-record it. Maybe like once all 6 are available or something, we'll go through. I don't know if we'll have time this weekend. I have to go escape from a room at some point this weekend, and we have that master raid coming. So we'll get it up next week. We'll do better, and so keep an eye out for that as well.
All right, the Chronicler, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Chronicler Chad.
What you
That's the one.
who's this Eva lady in the tower?
Who is she? Oh man. We're gonna get into it a little bit here. I got a couple weeks of her, so we got some good content to talk about. But right now, I'm gonna start off with just a little background of D1. If you played D1, you remember her as the lady in the alleyway by the speaker. She sold emblems and she sold shaders. Um, from the lore, she is a textiles lady. She made armor and equipment for Guardians specifically only for Guardians. She didn't do any kind of manufacture of uniforms for regular people. She did only Guardian armor and uniforms, and she made shaders as well. So a lot of the shaders, she'd get special order shaders from people and make them up, and and all that kind of stuff. So she's very much a fashion grandma, and she's all about the looks of the Guardians. And in a couple of things you'll notice she'll talk about it. And she enjoys being around Guardians because of how eccentric and weird they are. And coming from us, we know this because we're players. We see it as a player, but Bungie likes to tie in a little bit that the Guardians in that world, the way we act like them, where we're dancing in the tower, we're jumping off the tower, we're teabagging things in the wild. They like to put that in the lore of the game as this is what Guardians actually do. If humanity had these abilities, gamers would be doing these things with these abilities. So they make the Guardians do these things in the lore. And so Ava loves that. She loves how crazy they are with their shaders, how horrible Ryan's Titan looks most of the time, and that's what she's about. And so D1 was all that. She stood there, gave us shaders, did that kind of thing, but there wasn't a whole lot coming from her. They made her much bigger in D2. But at the beginning of D2, there was the Red War. And anybody that played through that campaign knows that her little section of the tower got blowed up. And she was nowhere to be found. And we didn't get really any information about her until she showed up at her first event. But in Forsaken, they added a lore book, which kind of like gave like a little bit of a diary of what happened to her during and leading through part of the Red War there. And I wanted to talk mostly about that, and then get into a little bit more of her interactions with other Guardians and people in particular, because she hasn't met everybody. Obviously, she meets Saint for the first time. She talks to Osiris. She makes something for Crow. These are stories I'm going to go in through next week, but today we're going to talk about what happened to her during the Red War. So she's just in the tower in her regular spot, D1 tower, and she's just talking to another person, and she says the request was simple enough: a shader to commemorate the end of the Siva incident. Zabla's color suggestion, though, and she thinks about the combination of fluorescent yellow and blood red. And if anybody that played through that Siva raid knows that shader very well, and may use it. And she just thinks about it and says, well, he can make the hive quake in fear, but that man shouldn't be let within 10 meters of a designer's table. So they're just laughing, and all of a sudden something shakes the tower. And they turn around, and then the PA blares evacuation order 77 is in effect. This is not a drill. So this is the first attack on the tower, and everybody's in a panic. And Tess is at the door, kind of takes her and goes down a hallway. She's running with Tess, and they get away, but then they have to end up splitting ways. And she goes towards the North Tower, where there's the Hall of Guardians, and there's 30 other people in this cargo bay area. There's a guy trying to get through the door, and all of a sudden a Cabal drop pod smashes through the walls, through the ceiling, and it opens up, and Cabal start coming out and just laying fire onto these civilians. And all of a sudden there's a blast of energy coming from behind them, and it's just one big Guardian entering the fray with a huge sword, and he's just laying people out. And she looks at him and notices that it's Shax, and Shax is just destroying these Cabal. And then when he gets the time, he helps her to her feet with surprising gentleness, and he says, "Madam, I need your help." And she takes charge and helps get to the civilians to where they need to go, to the next rally point, so that they could get everybody to the Hawk pilots, to the ships, to get them out of there, out of the tower, and to another safer place. And as she helps the last group board, Shax puts a hand on her shoulder and simply says, "Comrade," and turns around and goes back to the fray, sword on his shoulder, ready to go. And she watches the tower go off in the distance and just sees flames going up. And it's very heartbreaking for her to see this. This basically been her home for how long? It's a long time. And she's been there, growing with the Guardians and learning from them and making things with them and laughing with them. And it's her livelihood there. And so she is just there to lead people to safety. And that's something that Shax asked of her, but she takes it up on herself. And so the next book we go into talking, and she's in the apartment block 10, which is a section of the city that we don't really know much about. We don't know the way the sections are, but apparently she didn't get on the ship and actually leave the city. She went to go find more people, and she gives some people a code over the comms. Her particular code that she can actually get through the tower and get out. And she's slumped up in the ruined building with a couple of others, and she's trying to look around. She's trying to find a way for them to get out, but there's a couple of little military exobots, and she's borrowing the comms unit, trying to get them to call for help. And they look at her and ask her if she can use a weapon, and she doesn't even answer. But they look at her and know that she can't. She's not a fighter. She's only there to help them get out. And they call over the comms. We need Guardian support. Corner of the 1400 block, Anchor District. We have large number of civilians, and our position is being overwhelmed. And the transmission is cut out, and the Cabal are closing in on them. And it was about 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden she hears a sparrow coming at them full blast, and she gathers herself, summons up her courage, and does a little bit of a half crouch so she can lean and look out and see where they're coming from. And she sees a pair, a hunter and a warlock, and they just drop in on the Cabal and start tearing them apart like real pros, real guardians. And all of a sudden something happens, and she sees the two guardians like shake, and one of them reels. The warlock drops to his knee like a puppet cut from its strings, and the hunter shakes his hand and puts his hand in the air like he's gonna summon a golden gun, but nothing happens. And the Cabal look like they've been waiting for that moment, and they strike, and the hunter is bowled over and then crushed, and the warlock just never gets up from their kneeling position and is riddled with bullets and just laid out. And the exo that was next to them is standing fully upright, wondering what even happened. And Ava opened her mouth to tell it to get down, and it's taken out by a sniper. The obviously the regular human people look around and wonder what's going on. One of the guys is over in the corner just shaking in fear, throws up, and she does whatever she can to help. She clears a bit out. She tries to save a couple of the kids, and they get out of the building. They start running, just dead sprint, getting as far away as they can from that area. And they find a little bit of a safe space, and they get to a space, and one of the people says ma'am to her, and she says, this is Ava Levante, is this Tozy? And then they say, Tozy's dead. She wanted me to make sure someone got back to you, though. And so she passes out. She knows that everyone else is safe, and that finally gives her a second to just kind of break down and not relax, but try to recover. The next part of it, she's having a little bit of a dream, thinking about just the dawning festival and some other stuff, and the other people there kind of snap her out of it, and she hears them say, Ava, we don't owe them anything. And she says, how dare you? Your whole life they've kept you safe, and now you want to abandon them. And there's a quartet of guardians on the ground, just wounded and bleeding, and she describes them with their flamboyant armor. And even as she weighed the future of their little band, she couldn't help but appreciate their fashion sense. The hunter, of course, had put in more effort. Until she's the fashionista to the end, of course. And they keep trying to argue with her and say that one of the guys says, we can barely move the lot of us around, let alone all of us and a bunch of wounded, powerless guardians. Why should we risk our life? And she just responds, you don't think they've risked their lives 100 times over for you? We have to keep moving. We have to keep them with us, and we have to hold out. whatever this is, it's temporary. And he listens, and she says, when they regain the light, and she's cut short. And all of a sudden, over the comms is Zavala. And he says, citizens of the last city, hear my words. We are abandoning the city. We have evacuated everyone we could, but the Cabal now hunt guardians in the streets. If you are able, you should make for the wilds. And Ava felt as if she'd been physically struck. The Cabal have affixed a device to the Traveler, severed our connection to the light. We cannot hold the city, and we cannot protect you. And there was a pause. And when he spoke again, Zavala sounded very, very tired. We are setting a rally point somewhere else in the system. Watch for a broadcast. We will return to the city someday, but I do not know when. Be safe and be brave. And that was the end of the transmission. And she looks around at the group and notices that they're not yelling or shouting or angry in any way, but she sees tears, and she sees them crying, and their faces covered in ash, tears streaking down their face, and she did not cry as well, but she stares at the comm unit and thinks about what's going on with Zavala and all the weight that's on his shoulders. And she said she often joked with him about the size of his pauldrons on his armor, that massive protective plate on his left shoulder, and for now, for some reason, she thought she understood the weight on his shoulders. Ava turns around and she says, most of them are leaving, so we have to help them. And she gestures at the Guardians, the ones that she's been keeping them from abandoning. And she says, if we can keep them alive, they can protect us and keep us safe. And someone asks, where do we go? And she says, the Cabal must have heard that transmission. They'll be watching the walls, expecting us to try to leave. So we stay. We find an edge of the city where they don't expect us to be. She says, all right, everybody up. It's a long way to the Twilight Gap. So she leads everybody there. It takes quite some time to get there on foot. But years of supporting the Guardians, of listening to their idle chatter, Ava has learned how the Cabal move. She's learned that they're very militaristic, that they move very much in patterned and ordered style, military style. So once they learn their patterns, she's able to help navigate everyone through the city to a safe place. And she's happy that she spent so much time around Guardians. Now, as the three Guardians that recovered, they ended up losing the Titan on the way to the Gap. They started offering more guidance. They started helping her out more, giving them suggestions on what they can do, where they need to stay, and what they need to do to keep themselves safe. Now, there's one hunter named Ramos who is someone that really is helping her out much more than the others, and she gets to know him more personally. And she finds out that with his help, that her skills in planning holidays and parties and stuff, she's actually able to help organize people better and help create small groups of people that can help get out of the city into the wilds with groups of Guardians, very small amounts. So she's very good at planning, and she uses that ability to help people get out. And she does that for months and months. Now Ramos is helping her, and she's asleep, but he wakes her up, and she has a meeting with some more Guardians, and she tries to clean herself off, and she looks at her face, and remember, this is months of doing this and helping them get out of the city. She washes her face off for this meeting, and she looks in the mirror of this just shattered mirror, but she can see her face, and she looks at herself and thinks that she's just emaciated and tired, and she looks like a skeleton, and can't believe that she can keep going, but she pushes forward and makes sure that she can help as many people as possible. And they gathered downstairs, all the underground cell leaders, all the people that have gathered in one place. And every few weeks they hear of stories of a group of Guardians overrun from a supposedly secure bunker by a Legion assault. Loss of civilian life has been staggering. She looks down at the street through a window, and she kind of gets a feeling of satisfaction. Now that the underground pulls out, everybody's safe. um, she gets out herself, and she sees the distant side of the tower, and she wants to stay, but guardians like Ramos, who's helped her out the most, would help refugees get out. And she turns from the window, and then an explosion rips through the street, and everything goes white. And we'll keep this book going next week. But Ava's kind of one of those characters that we talk about a little bit here and there, because she's just there for events. And I'm glad that Bungie brought her back. And next week I'm just going to finish up the book, but talk about more of her interactions with people like Zavala and Saint 14, and how she brings a normal mortal life and gives these major players more grounding in reality versus just being a guardian 100% of the time.
So she's pretty cool, and I think that story of what she did during the Red War, that's amazing. But for somebody that thinks that Destiny is the best thing um, in this world, I can't have it. Get that transmog crap out of here. It's just, she's probably the reason it came in, and the reason we don't have new PvP maps. So I don't need her coming back to the tower to tell me how to dress and keep my cloak clean and all that stuff. If I'm going to go roll around the dirt, I'm going to go roll around the dirt if I want to.
Listen, but you know those cookies at Christmas time are probably pretty delicious.
Yeah, I do like the cookies. I do like Christmas cookies.
I want those burnt edge transits in my life.
All right, I think we're ready for the mailbag.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. First question is from Teme. Is the Anarchy nerf needed? In my opinion, Bungie should bring up more heavy exotics to compete with it. Well, that's definitely your opinion, Tim, but it is not my opinion, Tim. I think that Anarchy is hilariously busted and overpowered. And the way I would handle it is cut the ammo reserves to like you can only hold like 10 or 12 shots total is kind of how I would handle it. I think the function of the gun's pretty fair. It's just how much of the ammo you can hold at once is kind of what makes it broke. What do you guys think?
So my thing is like, what other exotic heavies are you bringing in the in-game? Xenophage.
Xenophage.
Is there any others that are like?
Lament is very specific.
But like, you can't bring that really into Grandmasters.
No, but I mean, you can do it for all of Last Wish. You can run it essentially.
Yeah.
And then also obviously
Atrax.
Atrax 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's probably it, right?
For the raids, yeah, that's about it.
So we're at a point now where like normal mode raids are not in game now. So like Last Wish, normal mode raids are no longer in game. We now have Fall of Glass hard mode. That is like the last thing that you need to do. So to me, it's Grandmasters, hard mode raids, potential hard mode dungeons, flawless and trials. That is like the end all be all in game. Trials 1 I'll never touch. I'll never be that good.
Right. and I mean we know that in order to extend the content for the long season we have coming up, I fully expect that we're going to get master versions of at least Deepstone Crypt, if not going back further. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see that added in. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not Last Wish.
Yeah.
I'm sure thematically it would probably be better if they did Last Wish, but Last Wish was pre-champions, and there's a lot of encounters. You think about Garden of Salvation, you have 4 encounters essentially. You think about Deepstone Crypt, you have 4 encounters. And in both of those, there's not any champions at all in Deepstone Crypt, but you already have champions in Garden of Salvation, so they could add more champions or something. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that as like here's something to tide you over for 3 or 4 extra months.
There's champions in Deepstone.
Yeah, there's some
There's
overload
anti-barrier
captains.
servitors. There's some overload captains, but not on the boss
Yeah,
fight.
and yeah, I guess like in the yeah, you're right. There's it don't really feel it. I guess
No, because
you just sort them to death.
Yeah,
everybody's using Fallout Guilty and just taking them out.
Yeah,
yeah,
Um, to me, I would like to see more exotic heavies be brought up a little bit, have a little more viability. And I don't, it's like Thunderlord. Like Thunderlord was so amazing when it first came out, but they had such a heavy nerf of machine guns. It's not really anything people like to use. The rocket launchers, they're, you know, Eyes of Tomorrow is nerfed against bosses. They don't do as much damage.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of things they can do to more of the exotic heavies to make it a little bit more worth using.
so is there ever a time that you're running an exotic for that's not a heavy?
Izanagi, Divinity,
Right.
Ariana's Vow.
Bastion.
Okay. I guess you guys use more than I do. I was thinking maybe you can bring Whisper up to like a special or an energy weapon, like Whisper and Darcy, or at least Darcy,
That'd be
and then
very interesting to bring those to energies. I don't
yeah,
think they ever will because I think they mentioned in one of the TWABs it's a huge thing to change a weapons um, slot.
Yeah,
right. It's probably like tied with the ammo and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure it's deeply rooted. So I don't know. I was just trying to think of a way because I think snipers should be rewarded more because they're more difficult
Yeah.
to use.
Yeah.
So I wish we had more reasons to use them.
Well, all I gotta do is just let us have a sniper that has intrinsic anti-barrier. Like if you gave Borealis intrinsic anti-barrier, like
bruh.
I think one person be running that every time
Every
Grandmaster.
GM. Yeah,
If it's
Yeah.
anti-barrier.
yeah. I mean, it was staple to my character almost. What was the last season?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's things to do with this, let alone special and heavy. I know that they talked about bringing primaries up for in game, but I think there's more things they need to do with the heavy stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my thought on it was just Anarchy needs to be hit. It's a monster of a gun, and bringing up a bunch of heavy exotics to compete with that is nonsense. There's, you know how crazy it would be if you had like a 1K with 30 shots. It'd be nuts. You could use that gun only and not have to use anything else. Now the reason the Anarchy's crazy is because you can plink with it, and then it'll do background DPS while you do a bunch of damage to something, or you can set up traps and do something else and focus on another target. Now, its utility is what makes it a monster, and its ammo capacity was what makes it really just nuts. So, yeah, like if it had only two magazines worth of shots, 12, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
as crazy because
Yeah.
you'd have to be much more conservative with the shots. Like for us, when we're running, I'm basically full ammo most of the time because one drop with reserves and scavs can get you 12 shots. That's crazy. You can clear a room with 12 shots. If all three of us used all 12 shots, but got all 12 shots back at the end of the encounter, like it's crazy. You're gonna wipe a whole room, and to have every other heavy exotic do the same thing would be nuts. It'd just be nuts. You wouldn't want to use anything else.
You see, I think 1,000 Voices needs more reserves.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, like you said earlier, some of the guns need to be brought up in order to be something people want to use.
Like, and it should have overload
The
too.
Anarchy is way over the line. It needs to be brought back down to below the line a little bit, and then everything else needs to be brought up to the line a little bit.
They took away our ability to get heavy ammo consistently. So that's, I mean, yeah, you can do it by one of the exotic arms. The name of them,
Yeah, the Aeons.
Aeons. There we go. But That's not something that I want to depend on for that. I think we need some better viable ways to get some of the heavy ammo for these other things. Are time lost weapons from the in-game chests too cheap? No, they're 25 spoils. That's some whiz. Yes, because I was super surprised they cost 25. I wouldn't say it's too cheap. I was just like super surprised.
I think our guess was 40, right? Double.
Yeah, yeah,
25 is probably what 5 or 10 cheaper than it probably should be. So
yeah.
it's a little cheap, but not too bad.
No, still wonderful. If you could have one drink beverage, eat one food, and watch one movie for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's from Richard.
All right, so my food would be pizza. My beverage would be probably Sam Adams Cold Snap, even though I should say no free ads here. And then the movie I would take. So the movie is difficult because you know, like Godfather 2, probably the best movie ever made. But you're not gonna want to sit and watch The Godfather anytime you're gonna watch a movie. So I think I would probably go with a movie that's gonna make me laugh. So it would either be Dumb and Dumber or Super Bad, and I would probably slightly lean Dumb and Dumber.
Let's see here. I'd go with the reason I like the pizza response is because you can change the topping. You can make it different flavors. That way, you're not getting just pepperoni pizza and you get bored of that after 2 weeks. Um, I'm going with TJ style tacos because you can get different meats in that. But it's always going to be those little tiny delicious things. Just put some lime on there with some onions. Oh, and then I'd go with a tequila pineapple. As you all know, that is easily one of my favorite drinks. Now the movie is a hard one for me because I'm not a big movie guy, but Ryan's choice with the comedy was probably spot on. Something that can make you laugh, and that's a hard one. I mean, like my first thought immediately was Airplane because
The
it hits
classic.
real fast, and it just keeps going, and you're like, oh no! But the autopilot, it was easily one of my favorite. It'll make me laugh every time. But I don't know. I'd have to give that one a lot more thought. I think Airplane would be probably it though.
Uh, so I'm gonna have to pick a drink that I've actually had before because if I get to pick anything, like I just give me Pappy Van Winkle 23 for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. But one I pick one that I actually have, I would say a Weller 12 for the rest of my life, and then pizza and tacos are two great picks, but you know every week I feel like I need to eat chicken wings, so give me chicken wings, boneless, bone in. I'll be fine either way. Change up the sauces every now and then.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
ranch. I like blue cheese. I like them without the extra dipping stuff. So I'll go with that.
I
And
have chicken
movie,
wings beside me right now, so that's a solid choice.
Man, I could go for some lemon pepper wings right now.
oh,
Yeah,
the movie the rest of my life, one that it always brings me happiness. I can sit around and listen to for a very long time. Is Oh Brother What Art Thou, and I can I can watch that on repeat.
To me, that sounds like constant sorrow.
hey, as long as he enjoys it, he's good. All right, all right,
All right.
all right. So
So
this
our
this
next, well, don't forget about our question from JB here. I think we
yeah,
skipped over it.
I was gonna go to it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah. So it's what exotic would you take from one class and give to another? Now, I'm a big fan. I used to be a hunter main before I turned my brain back on, and then I went to the crayons.
What?
So,
I think you said it backwards, dog.
no, definitely not. Um, and I want to take Celestial and put it on my Titan, so I get one gigantic hammer. I can just chuck at a boss. I think it'd be I think it'd just be hilarious to watch. I'd
How
love to
big
see
would that? How big would that hammer have to be?
it. It would
'Cause
be
you
the
have the ballerina titan hammer already,
yeah, it would be
and
that
it's
hammer,
pretty
but
good
just
size,
top tree titan with the ballerina hammer. You just chug
like an axe throwing.
Yeah,
Like
it.
a,
Yeah.
yeah, that
yeah,
would be a lot of
Yeah,
that'd be
fun.
one
pretty
just big
sweet.
old overhand, both arms. Woof.
To me, give me Ursa Furiosus for Middle Tree Arcstrider to bring them a viable to in-game PVE. You know, you get that energy back from blocking and get to go around and save your teammates and make that wand that your staff you spin around just a little bit bigger to help shield some people.
And you get that extra damage buff too if you
Yep.
deflect stuff.
Yep.
That'd be crazy.
So let's be honest, warlocks probably already have the best exotics in the game.
They're pretty good.
Um, yeah, because I was trying to think kind of what I would like to take, and the first thing I thought of was one-eyed mask, and put that with the top tree
Oh
dawn.
my god.
You know, just to level out the playing field,
Uh
I'll
huh. Yeah,
just
and
level it
then
out.
yeah.
Uh huh.
and then I thought I really enjoy using like Syntheseps
Mm.
as just like a good all-around exotic, and then Armamentarium. But I think Armamentarium is probably where I would land because the thought of being able to throw two stasis turrets
Oh
at the
yeah.
same time
Yep. I think
That'd
I
be
think
gross.
that's it.
would
That's it.
would be pretty sweet.
That's
So I
the
think
winner.
Armamentarium was kind of where I landed.
And it's got to have a
So
special animation where you charge both of them up.
Oh my.
No, that'd be nuts. Oh my god. See, our ideas were fun, and then Ryan's just trying to break the game.
It's just
it's already broke with just one. If you had two, oh my goodness.
Fox like, do you like to build a snowman? Because that's all we're gonna be doing.
Yep. All of us would be doing that. Just okay. Next question: is the master raid too difficult? How would you improve it?
um, I would say it's slightly too difficult because people didn't know they would need to grind their power level up high enough to compete with that with the 1350 light. If they said at the beginning of the season that that raid was going to be 1350, I don't think this will have the amount of backlash that it's having right now of people saying it's too difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, who again isn't a bounty hog, is at plus 20.
Yeah.
If he had known it was 1350, he probably would have gone a little bit extra and gone to plus 21.
Yeah.
Just for
I would
that
have gone to
extra.
I would have gone to plus 22.
Yeah.
Just
Just
to
in
be
case. So he can
just
have
so
one
like I didn't
19
have to
detail.
everything maxed out.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
again, like I said, if they had noticed, if they had said that, like Jared says, more people would have grinded that out.
Yeah.
Because
Now,
like,
how would I improve it? I would say that the overload champions need the ability to be stunned correctly. And this is not just a thing inside of Vault of Glass. It is like they
yeah,
need a rework of the way that procs. Something is not right.
yeah. I mean, if it was just like anti barrier, it's just procced all the time, but it takes
Mhm.
2 overload shots to
Yeah.
set it off. Great.
Yep.
But having to proc the shot first makes a bunch of guns not viable. Like SMGs, you have to fire off the entire clip and hope all of it hits before like the
Mhm.
last 3 bullets have a chance at hitting that overload.
And they can teleport through the overload shot.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
so
that's
having it
why
active, yeah.
whenever I was using the SMG, I always ran one that had overflow, just so you had enough shots to kind of combat that. Because if you have um, like an SMG that has 25 or 26 shots, you're going to be cutting it real close,
Yep.
and
one shot.
and then you're stuck in a reload animation. At that point, you're probably dead. How I would make it better, make it to where you have to get to pinnacle. I think if you can reach max pinnacle and complete the season pass, so I think that should be enough to get you in, and then just contest mode it to where you're, or like GMs where you're always, even if you're above this threshold, you're still playing at minus 25 light. Uh, if you can get full pinnacles and complete the season pass, that should be all that's required to do anything in the game, in my opinion.
I'd say 25 levels is too much for Auto Glass hard mode. Like I don't think that you could. I don't think you could beat it if everybody was 1325.
Right. So maybe you don't have to be like a full contest mode. Maybe like you only have to get to plus because what at season pass 100 you are what
Plus
like
like 13.
plus 12.
15. No, I thought it
Okay.
was like,
It's in it's in the
it's,
low teens.
yeah, it's in the
Yeah.
teens.
So yeah. So whatever that should be, and then whatever difficulty they decide to set it at, whether it's 15 under, 17 under, like whatever they tune it and set it to be. But I think that this kind of feels like a middle finger to everybody that said that Deepstone Crypt and Vault of Glass were too easy.
Yep.
And they talked about how, you know, they have these things in the game that, for instance, Warmind cells that they can't do anything about. They're too strong, and this is their answer to deal with that.
Yep.
I was only in there, like I said, I was only in there for 3 encounters. It took about 3 hours, 2.5 hours the time I was in there. I think that if you're fortunate to have a team that you run with every week, I would say you could do it in an hour and a half each week. Like once you get the first 2 or 3 runs down and kind of hit a rhythm, I don't think it'll be much more difficult, but you'll definitely have to pay a lot more attention than what you do for normal mode.
And there's if you just want to get the challenge done, you can go to some of these LFGs and stuff to some people sharing the checkpoints. So really you just need to get the challenge done and do the final encounter to get the ship, to get the completion, to get the time lost weapon. I think that's most people want. So there's ways around it. Some of these challenges are eventually going to be the first 1 or 2 encounters. It's early on, so you don't even have to really complete it to get the time lost weapon that you want.
Yeah, and the cool part is once you unlock it once, you have it in that chest every time you complete master difficulty from here till eternity. I guess. I hope they don't reset it each season. That would not be fun.
Yeah. If you could give your guardian what accessory, what would it be? And it's from Tiff.
You could give your guardian one accessory. What would it be?
Yeah.
I have mine. So, Quentin Rampage Jackson, UFC fighter. I remember him fighting in UFC 92. And he always wore this giant chain around his neck. It kind of looked like a logging chain. And that's what I would want on my guardians, is just a giant chain.
I would cheat a little bit, and there would be house keys, and my guardian would have a house that you could like live in and have your vault in and store your ships, store your ghost shells, stuff like that.
I would give my Titan a bracelet, the bracelet of punching. It adds plus 20 to your fist speed, and it allows you to roll an extra 2 d20s on every roll.
I might want to take. I'm torn. Can we have 2 accessories?
Why not?
The other thing that I would want is like a championship belt, like wrestlers wear.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah, figured.
I want a chain and a belt, but I want to be able to wear the belt around my waist, or whenever I'm in the tower, it goes up here on the shoulder, and I can just walk around saying like, "You want a shot at the title?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, the problem is if you're in the tower with that on, you can only walk. You can't
That's
run
fine.
anywhere. You're just
You're encumbered.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, over encumbered.
Just
Yeah,
by
I
swag,
would.
sheer swag has encumbered you.
Or everywhere you go, it turns into like the entrance, like the wrestling entrance, like down the ramp. You're just always walking down a ramp, no matter where you're going. All right, I think that's all the questions, right?
You got one more.
Oh, we got one more. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't see this one listed.
What's everyone's favorite style pizza, and why is it Detroit? That's from Nina.
I love Detroit. Far and away the best
Nope.
pizza.
Yep, Detroit pizza is best.
Way better than that California pizza.
There's not even California pizza.
You have a whole style or a whole kitchen full of pizza.
Well,
I see them in
that's a
the
pizza
frozen
kitchen.
section.
Any
It's a
kitchen that
delicious-
makes pizza.
I see them in the freezer section all the time. They're in a yellow box. It says
Yep.
like California Kitchen or something on it.
It's true. Sam's Club has it.
I'm just not going to respond to this. I'm just going to say that I had the croissant crust frozen pizza and it was delicious, and that's it.
Red Baron for life, dog. Jared shakes his head in disappointment. All right. So we need to announce the winner to our contest, and it is Headbanger 1060. So get in touch with us. We'll reach out. We'll get you either the expansion or the silver, and we'll handle that. Just get us on Twitter at Destiny CC Pod. And you guys check out our YouTube channel, Conqueror's Corner, and give us a like and a subscribe and click the bell. And maybe next time we'll get the walkthrough video up with sound of everybody and sound of the game. So
I was going to make that joke.
sorry, Chad.
Come
So,
watch
you
Ryan
guys-
talk at himself.
yeah, it's so stupid. Whenever you watch it, because I'll just answer something. It's like there'll just be like minutes of silence, and I was like, oh, this is the part where Jared talks, and then I'll be like, it's so dumb. So,
Yeah, it was a
And,
huge
and
week
ne-
of Destiny.
yeah, next time I need to not record it at like 1440 or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably record that at 720. So
Yeah.
get that file size down a bit. So go out, become legend this week. I'll let these guys sign off.
Yeah, we had a tireless and infinite week of grinding. We had a cluster of a YouTube upload, but we made it through, and lots of loot to go chase.
Yeah, lots of Solstice to be doing, lots of EAZ runs to go get, talk to the cat, find the cat. And that's it. Just get out there, get glowy, baby.
All right. Love you guys.